Archdeacon Cunningham, I must say thank you so much for agreeing to open up this morning's service to more than just a celebration with St. John Ambulance, but with all the uniformed youth groups. I thank you so much. The Honorable Flavor Williams, Minister of Education and Youth, and we are well aware that your arrival is not because of any delinquency on your part, but because of you're so committed, you were prepared to make the sacrifice to also join us today, and we appreciate your presence with us, Minister. Dame of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of St. John, Marie Clementson, so good to see you. Mrs. Simone Foster, Coordinator for Character Education and Uniform Groups in the Ministry of Education. Officers of the various uniformed youth groups. And I may identify the different groups we have here, the officers present. We have the Girls Brigade, the Boys Brigade. Can you stand representing the officer from the Girls Brigade, Quindel? Just for recognition. Thank you. Marjorie Gaynham from the Girl Guides. Lieutenant Colonel Alvin Reed from the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force. You stand. Thank you. Thank you. We have the Scouts Association of Jamaica. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of the officer present. We have the National Cadet Force. Thank you. I'm not sure if we have the NIB. Please stand. Thank you. And we also have other officers and members of St. John Ambulance. Please stand. Adult members. Thank you. You may be seated. I am Lieutenant Colonel Oral Khan. I'm the Commissioner for St. John Ambulance, but this morning I'm here in my capacity as the Chairman of the Uniformed Youth Groups Committee. And so I extend greetings on behalf of not just St. John Ambulance, but all the combined uniformed youth groups of Jamaica. Oh, how much our lives have changed since the COVID pandemic. The very manner in which we celebrate this morning confirms that we have had to change, we have had to adapt and adjust to circumstances and the dictates of COVID-19. The assembling of ourselves together for functions like these have all been impacted, and negatively so in many respects. COVID has adversely affected the operations of most of our uniform groups, including our ability to meet together. That has been somewhat alleviated in recent months. But in other ways, such as how we go about raising funds for our organizations, and generally the types of activities that we have been able to engage in over the past 2 years. But COVID also gave us some new opportunities, and a number of our groups have been taking advantage of the opportunity of meeting virtually online, and so we have been able to maintain contact with many of our members, not all. But thank God we have been adjusting, we have been adapting. Jamaica needs the uniformed youth groups, and we need more of these groups in our schools, in our communities, and in our churches. Expanding our groups come with many challenges. We also have to be concerned about safeguarding our youth and our children. And so there are many new policies and guidelines that we have to observe to ensure the safety of the youth and children we get in our care. But we do want to respond to the mandate of the Honorable Minister of Education to double our reach over the next 3 years. It's a challenge that the Honorable Minister has thrown out to the uniform groups. And I'm almost sure she will comment on this today. I want to say, Minister, it is our intention to rise to the challenge because we do accept that Jamaica needs our youth to be organized and to be better socialized. And we offer ourselves as a very viable and feasible option for getting our youths organized and trained. And we also should be able to respond to the message from Archdeacon this morning, to be passionate about our purpose. I want to say we commend the model of support we see with some of our organizations, support from well-established institutions, because what we found during the pandemic is that those of our groups that have these formal relationships with established institutions, and I'm referring to groups such as the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force, the 4-H movement, and the Pathfinders of the Adventist Church. Those groups have been able to show much greater resilience in withstanding some of the pressures that an occurrence like the COVID pandemic brought upon us. And so I commend that model and would encourage that our efforts at establishing more strategic partnerships with institutions that can provide well-needed support be fully embraced. And we hope that the state, the government, would be able to provide much greater institutionalized support for the work of the uniformed youth groups, because that will build our capacity and our resilience to withstand the many pressures that these groups face. I want to encourage our churches, and I'm in St. Luke Church today, so I'm encouraging St. Luke and other churches to facilitate the formation of uniform groups by encouraging your members, especially the younger folk, who may be able to be trained to offer leadership to these organizations, whether locally within your own church or within the communities. But one of the greatest constraints to the expansion is the availability of qualified, competent, capable leaders who have the interest of Jamaica's youth at heart to help us to carry forward the work. And if we're going to fulfill the mandate, we're going to need a whole lot of support. So I just want to say an encouraging word to our youth who have stuck with our organizations to continue your service in your respective organization. Your organization will do a great deal for you as you serve, and you will be better equipped for life in the wider society. I thank you, Archdeacon. I thank you, members.